Welcome for Wednesday, February 7th, another action-packed day here in the markets. Something for everyone, I think, in terms of movers today. S&P back at new highs. We continue to hear about some caution in the markets. I agree with that to some extent. We know that February is not a strong seasonal month. We know that the breadth hasn't been good, but I'll tell you, there's a lot of good things going on with the market. So let's get into some of that. Risk disclaimer in front of you. Everything that we're going through is for information purposes only, not giving out any advice or recommendations. Also, I've been getting a ton of questions about the market webs on TradingView. Yes, we now have that available. We had to do a couple things behind the scenes to get that up and running, but it has been great to have this on TradingView, and it is so I think helpful in your trading. I refer to it as a roadmap in terms of really helping me trade, especially with markets like this, where I think there's just so much cautiousness on the tape. So, having a plan when you enter into a trade, having a signal to go long, right? Knowing where that signal is not going to work, right? And and I'll walk through a couple examples with you, just so that you can kind of get an understanding for that. But here's where you go. I'll just bring this up in the beginning of the video, but you can go to marketwebs.com. And yes, we're offering so here's the best thing is that you could check this out, you could try it out, and it's free for a month. We're going to change that. We'll have like a shorter time trial where it won't be a month, but we want to do something kind of fun for the first time that we're rolling this out. And then the cost is $39.99 a month. So this way you could kind of get involved in it and play around, try it, see what you think. But it depending on your time frame, right? There's value areas for different time frames, and that really helps. So I'm interested in hearing what you guys think. Again, first time it's been on TradingView. I've really liked the platform a lot. I like the customization that you could do. You could see the different colors and you could use different profiles. You could use it just for the month, as I do. You could also, have the market webs on showing different value areas on the same time frame, right? That's something that you couldn't do with the old version. So for example, like I'm looking at the daily chart here in S&P, and you've got a value area for each month, which is based on last month's price action and volume, right? All that activity for February. But you could also see where the value area is for the year, which is based on all of the 2023, activity, volume, at price. So we've got some good things. We've got some real good things in here. So let's get to the let me get to the price action for the day and talk about some things that besides the S&P. So what I've been hearing is that and I agree with this analysis, right? That the breadth is not good and there's less, names that are moving higher. I guess to some extent, but when I go through my analysis and I see steel names on the highs, as one of the best performers for the day. Again, this is sorted. This is my spreadsheet sorted by the change versus the open. And so zoom this in here for a little bit. If I can, where is the zoom on this? Here it is, down here. All right, so this way you don't have to squint. Yeah, I mean, so the Qs had a good day, up 1%, but they're not the only area that had the yes, they're going to affect, those big names are going to affect the market more, but steel names up 1.6%. That has nothing to do with the Magnificent Seven, or it has nothing to do with AI. Now semis do. Semis up 2%. Crypto got into the game today. I like what this Bitcoin chart is doing. Right. So if we go to Bitcoin, whichever you want to use, Bitcoin futures made the turn today, right? A little bit of this kind of, bull flag. We were talking about this in the pre-market session that I do every day for TTG members, right? Talking about how this could be a little bit of a, some type of a pennant. It's weird to have a pennant here, But regardless, just a little bit of consolidation and a move higher. So, nice. It's nice to see this. Remember, like, Bitcoin has been kind of forgotten about a little bit, since the ETFs came out, right? It definitely was that buy the rumor, sell the news, but it's been regrouping here, right? And starting to see some interesting things like, you know, Mara, for example, right? Again, notice how the valuary set up here, right? I also like to see, my own system is I combine moving averages and the value areas, and but you know, so I personally would like to see it back above the 50-day moving average. But if you want to try a trade here, right, you've got your stop price, what I would use, which would be right around that bottom of value for the month, right? And again, a lot of option activity today in Mara, so it kind of gives you a little bit of a sense of a little bit of a hint. But again, look at where the stock, and I don't like to do this. I don't like to say, well, the stock was at $30, but the stock was at $30. So you're not chasing here or anything like that, but it does have to, hold here and get going a bit. So I find that interesting in Mara. So, that's just one area that I think is interesting. The home builders, up 1.3%. A lot of these look pretty good. Trex, not Trex. I was long Trex, but AZEK just kind of woke up the group. I mean, what a big move for this name. Flooring, right? And then when you think and look at the volume, right? How many times have we been seeing this the last couple of days? Yesterday it was Palantir, right? That showed this big volume. Right. And today it's AZEK, and this took a lot of things up like Trex, right? Made a move up here, and this is where I took the trade off right at the Virgin point of control. That was my upside target in the trade. Not to say that it can't go up further from there, but that's just how it kind of helps me plan out trades. But I also think Home Depot is a must watch here, right? They have flooring and they do a bunch of other stuff too. Right. So I think this is a pretty good setup here. And again, where the trade is not going to work. If it doesn't, so moving above the value area is new price discovery, right? And it's moving outside of the range, it's uptrending. If it moves back inside the value area, then we're back in kind of a little bit of a range for the month. But that level's right around 359.70, and this is on my watch list for tomorrow. I don't have a position in it currently, but I also like a few other things, right? Builder, which I've been long as well. I took some profits in this today. Not the best looking candle for the day. But this has been a really nice performer. Also, another one that I'm adding to my watch list is BLD. Right, easy to remember those two, Top Build as well as Builder First Source. Has a little bit further to go. I'd like to see it actually clear last month's value area too. But I like the consolidation. I love consolidation in uptrends. Right, so that's what you got going on in this group. Right. And the transports, while they weren't the big performer for the day, you had other areas like software. Tech did well today, consumer discretionary. This way, move this over so you can see the symbol. Yeah, so I mean, so this is one group that I find very interesting, the transports, right? And what's been going on in the transports. So of course, like the one ETF that I think is people pay attention to is this IYT, right? Notice how it's gotten over these previous highs here, right? The transports, right? You would think, geez, if this market's horrible, right, then how are the transports at 52-week highs? Right, because I believe I mean, we're going back a year. I don't think that's it. That's not the all-time high in the transports, but it's a 52-week high. But you have to go back quite a while. So what's driving that? Right. Well, Uber's in this, but also, some of these things like, whoops, keep this up here. Look at, this is a name that we talked about a couple of weeks back on earnings. It took out a VPOC and just kept going. Right, nice consolidation earnings, but go through these rails. CSX, NSC. One of my charts of the day today was one of the Canadian rail names. So this is CNI. You could also look at. I'm not going to go through every one of these charts, but CNI is moving out to new highs. CP. So yeah, I mean, I get it with those arguments about breadth, and IWM is not. Did not really perform well. I think IWM finished down on the day. Okay, well, that's not an area that I really want to be in right now. but so it's not an everything go up market. But to me, there just seems to be a lot of strength, right? Also, one of the things that I tweet out, during the day, right, is the not tweet out, but this is the Substack summary that I put together during the day. And one of the things that I tend to look at is, what are 4-week new highs versus new lows? Now, keep in mind the last 2 days, new lows. And again, this is just short term. This isn't 52-week. This is 4 weeks and just the S&P. But look at what you kind of see here, right? Look at the areas that are showing strength. Right. You've got nice to see consumer discretionary, right? A lot of names in that group today. But what's to me has been pretty surprising, not only the transports, but also the industrials. Look at how many names in the industrials, right? And some of these are transports, Picard, right? And by the way, here's another, I just talked about the rails, but look at some of these, look at XPO today, right? That's a transport name. I've been long this Picard, right? I like this name, even though it's a slower. I like to have some slower movers, right? That of course, move in the right direction. But look at this Picard breakout too, right? So, so industrials kind of when you look at that, right, it kind of covers a lot. But of course, tech is in there too, right? So you've got some tech names in there too. You got healthcare in there too. It's nice to see healthcare break out. Yeah, and look at the consumer discretionary names, right? Again, there are some names. It seems like various groups, right? IWM, I don't think need to do anything in IWM right now, right? Notice that I've gone through this video and I didn't talk about macro in the beginning of this video. I wouldn't say that, geez, we're out of the woods macro, but we talked about the dollar earlier in the week, and speaking of which, we got a very good signal, right, that the short-term high may be in for the dollar, right? Here's what the dollar looks like, right? So again, the trend is still up here. I don't want to discount that, right? But I'm just saying that we hit a high volume area and the sellers won out here, right? So look at the rejection here. Right, this is the UUP ETF, dollar bull ETF. So again, it's not losing its trend, right? Notice it's just kind of pushing back here. What is that? Is that the 5-period moving? I guess it's a 5-period moving average. It got a little bit of ahead of itself, but for now, at least it's not raging after that, and it's kind of pushed back for a couple days, and then of course the other area that I'm watching is what TLT does. We have one more bond auction. It's amazing today. They had this huge bond auction today, 10-year, and it seemed to be that there was demand in it. Now tomorrow is the third day of bond auctions for the week. We had the 3-year yesterday, the 10-year today, and tomorrow we get the 30-year. The way that this has been going, because this is the way that they have bond auctions. They have like 3 of these a week. The third one hasn't been pretty. That's been the pattern. I can't tell you what the bond auction and what the demand is going to be for tomorrow at 1 o'clock for the 30-year, but I would be a little bit hesitant. Again, I'll use that word cautious that everybody's using. Yeah, I would be a little bit cautious. Why am I cautious about that? Because there's not a lot of room to the downside, right, of where we are. So again, it's nice to see TLT up today, up about 0.5%. Remember, 2 days ago, TLT was down a little bit more than 2%. Yesterday, TLT was up 1%. Today was up another 0.5%. So we're retracing some of that big, move down that we saw. So again, we're not out of the woods here, and I would be very, cognizant of that bond auction tomorrow at 1 p.m., which could cause some more volatility. Remember, again, the relationship that we've been noticing here is that when yields go higher, TLT doesn't like it too much. I mentioned that we would look at some names after the close. Here's IWM. Again, not participating today, down on the day, still inside its value area. And for now, that 50-day moving average as well as bottom of value has been the key there. All right. So very interesting. What has been going on in that space and how differently it has been performing. So I mentioned the after hours moves. Just again, pretty amazing, right? The one name that I'll go over before we go over a couple of these is Palantir, right? Which was my chart of the day yesterday, right? Palantir, I added this morning. Again, look at the volume on Palantir. So my thought is, I take targets along the way, right? I don't know if we're going to be able to make it to this upside VPOC. But the fact that we're staying above here, I'm giving this a shot, right? And you could see here, so here's what, I did today. This was my first trade. I wanted to get into it yesterday. And I said, most likely it's going to be a short-term trade. 22.15 is where I got in. And I like to get a couple targets in, right? Especially, right? If I think that if I think I should be cautious about this market because of breadth, seasonality, I will make those adjustments and take faster targets, right? No doubt about it. I'll put more in my pocket, right? And of course, you got to let your winners run. But I like to just trim down the overall position so that I've got that type of position on. All right. So I mentioned Builder, Trex, there's a couple trades from this morning, but overall it was a nice day for me. Had a lot of things that I've been trying to be patient on, right? I talked about that with, everybody has to make adjustments in their trading, right? And one of the things, like Trex was down big 2 days ago, but I noticed, the valuers kind of kept me in a trade, and I mentioned it, right? And that sometimes I make mistakes, is that I get out of a trade, right? And even when it's right at support, right? I tell myself, you got to be more patient, right? And I was, even though this was a nasty move to start the week, right? And I said, geez, well, we've got a VPOC down here. Let's see if it can kind of hold in here. I didn't add to it. I didn't know AZEK was going to put that in that type of a quarter, but I got out where, I stayed where I should, right? Where I knew we had some support, and I got out at my target, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video. So that's how it really kind of helps me, right? A couple other trades too, right? You heard me talk probably yesterday. I don't know, certainly talk to members about it, but I mentioned the steel names. I really like the earnings report that Nucor had and this move higher, right? I tried to trade yesterday. I kind of got fooled, and that's on me. I didn't wait until the bar closed, right? Sometimes, this is a 1 hour chart. It's tough to wait a whole hour, right? I think I got in that with about 40 minutes left in the hour. So it didn't, by the time it closed, it did not close inside, its value area. But today, look at what I did. Boom. I got, the whole key is to, not get discouraged and wait for your signal. And once it happens, then it got involved. And look at the bullish 80% rule, right? Which means once you get into the value area where you start below, right, you have an 80% chance to go all the way through. I believe that was close. I'd call that close enough, we got right to that top of value. And STLD was also a nice performer again. Those are two good names, I think. I personally like in the steel group today. All right. I keep forgetting about the names. How could I go this far into the video and not talk about ARM? I tell you, this was a tough one for me to hold. We saw a bunch of bullish option activity, a lot of calls going further out, some leaps, I think. But I tell you, since they started to buy the calls, the stock started to not act as well, right? Comparatively to the rest of the group. Now, it made this big charge, and I've been involved in this name since it made this move, this breakout of value here. And, I kind of just said, as long as it kind of, continues to kind of hold and make higher lows, that I would try to stay in it. And I did prune down the position a little bit today. It's tough to hold a name, into earnings. So very nicely, it held where it needed to. It held above the 50-day moving average. It did fall a little bit into the December value area, but this was a nice candle for the day, and so real nice move. Here's where it is. If we go to the 1 hour chart, it is all the way up here, I think, to yeah. Wow, is it trading that much? Holy cow. So I have this in the TTG trend portfolio, and I also have it, not a big piece in my trading account, but sometimes when these names do this, even a small position will work out really well. Disney, I just wanted to bring up too. I thought this was, speaking of Virgin point of controls, right? So all the way up to about 108. right? Notice the overhead supply here, right? Telling you where, again, virgin point of control, by the way, means, or VPOC means virgin point of control. It's where a high area of volume has occurred where price has not revisited. So it often is when you think about gaps. I know some people really like to trade gaps. It's a similar concept. It's not the same, but it's a similar concept that price will go in and kind of fill back, going back to a level where there was high volume where it hasn't revisited. So remember this 108 number. We're going to go to the daily chart next. Oh, no, we're not. Oh, get out of this. There we go. All right, so Disney, right? Notice where that next VPOC is going to be. Boom, right at 108, right? So again, look at where this is coming from, right? This is the value area from all the way back in I think this is March, right? So notice that price didn't pass through this didn't pass through the whole value area, not even the point of control. If price passes through the point of control, then it's not going to be a virgin point of control. But if price doesn't go through this at all, then it's going to leave this behind. And notice where we're going up to in the after hours is 108. All right, guys. So there you have it. Just to kind of bring you through the rest of my setup. But so if you sign up for the market webs for the trial, what I would suggest you also do is sign up for the Substack, right? And this way you could see live examples, right? Airbnb, right? Personally, I'm bullish the travel trend, and we'll get more information about the travel trend. But I've been waiting for this Airbnb, right, to make its turn, right? It did a very good job the last couple days, right, of sitting here, right at the top of value, right? Notice these last couple candles here closed above its, I don't think that's a coincidence, closed right above its value area. So, of course you could have, and I mentioned this in the trading room yesterday, you could have started a position, right, with a stop, just below in here, but, it's made its turn here. So, good. That's a good start for this trade, right? And you could see again, here's my Airbnb. So no momentum, but I was getting involved in it, and it worked pretty well. And again, I took some profits in this trade already. Right. Again, making those adjustments if you think that the market, right, is fragile because of the underlying breadth. Right. And finally, and there's a new course setup too. All right, guys. So that's it. Thanks for watching today's video. Again, let me know any questions, but I know a bunch of you have been hitting me like crazy, asking me for when are those market webs going to be available on TradingView? So we're very excited and proud that we've put out a really good product, and it's ready to go for you. So yes, let me know any questions. It's marketwebs.com. Guys, have a wonderful night and see you tomorrow. Oh, by the way, and I always forget to show you this, but here's our watch list. Again, this is the work that we put in over the weekend. Look at how many names at this point, right, are in that dark. I like dark green over here, and that's from our trigger. Right. So, not bad so far. All right. We'll have to get through a bond auction and whatever comes up for tomorrow. Again, have a great night, everybody.